Okay, let me give you a few pointers on this assignment to get you started with the UV mapping. The first thing I'm going to do is assign a checker material to this character. So let's grab that first one there and middle mouse and drag it. And on the color, right there on the hypershade, let's map a checker map. Checker. And to see the the changes on the geometry, you can click on the textured character. You notice that how big the checker maps are. So what I would recommend is go to the UV coordinate section, follow that node, and on the repeats, say 40 by 40, and close it, and notice how much smaller they are now, so we can see better distortion. Well, before we couldn't really see what was going on the surface. Smaller checkers, it will give you a better view of what's happening with the UVs. On the let's go now to the UV editor right here. I was making a test here to show you a map that the goal will be to map front and back of the character. Let me turn the textures off. Front and back, and this is still unfinished, but it's work in progress. That shows you what the main goal of where we're going, okay? I am going to apply an automatic map so that you can see what happens. This seems to be easy for some objects, but for a face that is so complex, I wouldn't use this method, because as you can see, it leads to way many loose pieces, and that's not very effective. Instead, what I would do is try to map the front and back approach, and let me show you how I did. And it's not the only method either. You can always get other methods to map. So I'm going to make a selection of the back of the head, and I want to make sure, let me turn off the texture so that you can see, I have this piece over here. I do not want this one over here. We will work that on the other side. I just want this, this part over here to go all the way over. Although we could, let's add this one just for the example. There you go. And let's do the same one on the other side so that you can have somewhat asymmetry on your seam. We're pretty much creating a seam over there with this method. And then that way we have our back part, and then we could do a cylindrical map on the front and start relaxing UVs. So back on the UV editor, notice how these pieces are scattered everywhere with the other approach. So if you wanted to make like a tattoo or something on the back, it might not be efficient to have all these little pieces loose. So what we can do, back on the UV editor options here, let's make a planar map, and let's see what's happening. Let's go back to the UV editor window right here, and notice that it's there, but unfortunately it's in the middle of everything, so I'm just going to move it over here so that you see what's happening here. Let's go on the viewport, and we have you see this is the projection. It looks sideways because look at the projection. It's a planar map that's getting the left and right side. But what I want to do is put it horizontal, facing the back of the character. So to do that, what we're going to do is notice this hairline, red hairline over here. I'm going to click on that and then click on that circle around it. That will activate the rotation tools. And as I rotate, look at what happens on the UV editor. Now the UVs seem to be a little bit placed more like the plane is facing the the back of the head rather than the sides of the head. So I'm just going to put it here away from the other parts, and we'll come back to it. As we return, we're going to then do the front part of the face.